Hello, so some good news. If you didn't see the little phone thing, turns out I don't have Rona, so that's good. Basically, my test is negative, but it says, obviously if you don't come into contact with somebody with it, you need to go through the whole thing again. So that was good. I've got an email version of the same thing that says, your coronavirus test result is negative. You did not have the virus when the test was done. If you feel well, but someone you live with tests positive, or you've been traced as a contact of someone who has tested positive, you must still self-isolate. Follow the guidance of 14 self-day isolation. If you get symptoms of the coronavirus, get tested and self-isolate for 10 days from when they start. If you're not a contact, you may return to work if you're not had a fever for 48 hours and feel well. Talk to your employer first. And then it goes through all the shielding stuff and whatever else. But yeah, there we go. So that's the good news. I don't have the corona. The other good news is Hype sent me 2 gas masks and they arrived today. Some of the spare bits he sent me for them yesterday. So let's get these out and have a look at them. I've put the links to the types of ones they are. So the modern GP7 type thing, which I believe is, what is this, the PPM 88-2, whatever it's called. I've put a link on there. So is this the GP7 civilian variant? This has got the drinking tube on it, so it's not the standard one. It's also not standard filter ones. This is like one of the actual modern ones, so that's quite interesting. Made in 2012. I'm sure it's still got that same face seal inside though, but so this is interesting. I've already shown the message. It's the thumbnail. Go look at the thumbnail. I'm not going to hold the thing up. Well, I will do. Never mind. Hang on. There you go. I'll hold it there for 5 seconds once it's focused. Read the top bit. Your coronavirus test result is negative. Yeah, they do it in 24 to 48 hours. So yeah, they were true to their word. So there's that one Hype sent. And where's the other bit in here? That's the cooler one, I reckon. So the Briz, whatever they call it, from 2012 as well. So yeah, a modern PPM 88. Mike says he may need to start rationing the Zelda games. Was on it till 3 AM last night. So, well, you're like me, Mike. I was up till about 2 to 3 AM gambling. And guess what? I was winning. And I don't mean I was winning and then I lost. I mean, I probably cashed out 50, 60 quid last night. You can always replace them though, can't you, Marcus, if you want to? But yeah. So I was up late drinking and gambling and actually winning money and then cashing the money out. So there we go. That's what I was doing last night. Not a healthy thing to be doing, but like I said, I've kind of figured out ways that you don't seem to lose too much with gambling. Slot machines, online slots. I figured out which ones, even when they don't give you the odds, are the pretty good odds. I can figure that out pretty quickly. So if you're doing very low bets and they've got good multipliers, you end up making up quite a bit, and then you just need to cash it out before you waste the money back in it again. So that's how those work. There's another box in here. Excellent. It's a filter. Yes, I've definitely played the Fallout games. So yeah, and thank you, Hype. Thank you for the other filter. That will be useful. So yeah, thank you. I need to get a video done on those 2 masks fairly soon. If you didn't see them when I was holding them up just now, we'll try them on in a minute when I've had my coffee. I'm still a bit tired. But yeah, I mean, these would definitely prevent you getting corona. But you'd have to be wearing them when you come into contact with the person who might have it. But the good news is I didn't get corona. So I'm hoping that's because I took all the PPE stuff seriously. Yeah, no, definitely agree with you, Mike. The mistake is, isn't it? Yeah, because basically the house always wins in terms of things. So basically what you want to do is, if you've put a little bit on, you're not afraid to lose, just for a bit of fun, and then you get a big cash out, you cash that bit out once you've got it. You don't keep then reusing it. So I'll say hello to everybody. I'm still a bit tired today because, like I said, I was up way too late last night. And, you know, I was a bit worried about the corona test results, not going to lie. So it's a big relief when they came through. So, yeah, my dad will be very pleased when he gets back. Because my dad was meant to be having the test with me. He was in the car and then he pussied out. He didn't want the thing shoved up his nose. So only I took the test. But, you know, if I'm negative and we're in the same household, it's very likely he's negative. The cases are slowly going up, unfortunately, VL, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was back in like April or May, whenever it was. Also, they're much better at treating it in hospital now, so the death rates are much lower. Yeah, that's really annoying, Keeper, if they're doing that, because again, that's completely the opposite of what they're meant to be doing. Oh, is somebody spamming the chat? I missed the previous one. I saw their message got deleted. It was something about immigrants, wasn't it? But if they're going to be one of those people that literally comes on, then just saying to the mods, you know, get rid of them. Because if they come on to basically say horrible things about immigrants, and here's the thing, people shouldn't be illegally, obviously, immigrating to the UK. I don't agree with that. But when I think they're almost blaming the spread of corona on them, not people not wearing masks, you know, going to parties, all that shit that's being done by people with British passports. Oh, dear. You know. I think we could do, Daryl. I mean, it's not been as bad as we thought it would be, but saying that, it could be that when we get to October, November, December, and it gets colder, and if it mixes with flu season, that could be when it's bad. Yeah, if you've got a question, Savanara, however your name's pronounced, ask it and I'll see if I can guess. But yeah, Daryl, I think we might do. Thankfully, I was thinking it might ramp up a bit faster, but we're having like a slow burn second spike at the moment, aren't we? Or spike at the end of the first wave, where we had the really bad bit, then it went down, and now it's kind of gradually doing that again. But it's a lot slower than it was. And again, they can treat it better now, at least with antivirals or whatever it is. So that's the good news. Again, the bad news is obviously I'm not optimistic about the flu season. Also, when all the, you know, when all the schools go back, unless they restrict other things once the school goes back, I don't think that's going to help because they're still relaxing rules on certain things now, aren't they? Even though the cases are still technically going up. Oh, that sounds good, Shifron. I put links in, Savannah. If you check the description, the two masks I showed, although Hype sent them to me, he did give me links of, I think, like one of the places you can get them from. I don't think the track and trace app is coming out because they're too incompetent to just, you know, use one somebody else makes, you know, because we had to make an exceptional British one. And, you know how that turns out when we decide we need to do everything properly ourselves. All right, Rich. So the good news, Rich, was negative on the test. But obviously it says on there that basically if you then come into contact with another person, you need to isolate and get a test again. So it's almost a never-ending thing, isn't it? If yeah, well, here's the thing, Hype. They were meant to release it then, and then they kept coming up with bollocks reasons all the time about why it wasn't being released. And it basically boils down to people in government wanted to be superior and make their own app that would be a world-beating app. World-beating was the word they used. And they completely fucked it up. So yes, what they should have done, in my opinion, is just literally gone to one of the companies that developed a working app, bought it from them, or just used that app, you know. Not literally not have said, oh no, we're not using this app for that reason, or not using that app for that reason, like they did. You know, because how good is a track and trace system if you have no way of tracing people who don't know who the other people is they've been sitting next to on the bus or whatever. Yeah, saying, yeah, it is good news I don't have COVID, but... Right, my coffee is about 2/3 of the way down now. When my coffee gets completely empty, and the rain's pretty heavy today, so it's a pretty miserable day to be. Oh, I'm glad I'm not out in it, but you know. Well, they don't know what they're doing, Tony, in regards to that, because if you know, I don't know if you know this, but there's some places where you have to go into 2-week quarantine when you get back. France is on that list now. The problem is if you lock down all flights, so you then stop air freight as well. So you're literally not going to get international mail. Yeah, that's French riot armor under that particular GP7. Yeah, I've played Metro 2033. There's a video on my channel of the gas masks included in Metro 2033. Thank you very much, Apache64. I appreciate it. That's annoying, Gus. But yeah, the UK Corona thing is so, you know, all over the place, where they do a couple of things right, but for every one thing they do right, they have to do a couple of things, you know, shit, basically. Is you know, Tony, again, you might just be another account of the same person that was blocked earlier for saying the same thing. But you do know that those people get put into detention, right? They don't literally say, oh, look, some immigrants have arrived, you know, on dinghies. Go about, do what you want. They're arrested and put into camps. And at the moment, everybody is whinging at the government because those camps apparently are not humane enough. Well, they're in a sheltered building and they're fed. And they've got places to sleep. They're illegal immigrants. They don't get good rights. The whole point is you're meant to go through the immigration process legally. I certainly don't agree with like what some people are, oh, shoot them and stuff like that. But like they are not entitled to like a 5-star hotel room if they've crossed illegally. But they're not free to walk about. They're being arrested as soon as they turn up and put into detention. And I think that's when they then process their asylum appeal, isn't it? And then basically what happens is if they've got a legit asylum claim, like arrangements are made for them. If not, they're basically deported. That's you know, that's how it seems to be on here. There used to be a place near me. It's actually closed down now. There used to be a place near me called Campsfield House, which was a big immigrant sort of prison, like a legal immigrant prison. That was kind of interesting because every now and then they'd escape and you get police helicopters everywhere. Aye, Tony. Yeah. Another Tony account will pop up to blame them immigrants taking our jobs. Yeah. All right, see you, Marcus. Have a good day. Yeah, Richard, see, that's where I'd complain about it because, you know, although I did see there was a thing during Corona that was actually quite that might work, Yorkshire Tom, actually saying that. But no, what was I going to say about that? That yeah, putting them in 4-star hotels I think is a bit excessive, like Rich said. But one of the things I did see that was quite good was during a lot of the Corona stuff when hotels weren't allowed to open, the government paid for homeless people to be put into hotels so they could start kind of going back to normal. Now, sadly, I think what basically happened, because Tories being Tories, was as soon as hotels were allowed to reopen, they said just kick the homeless people back out into the streets. But I know some hotels are going above and beyond to basically have like rehabilitation programs and everything. So, you know, when the people have, after a few months of actually having somewhere nice and warm to sleep in that, did actually manage to get jobs in that, which was nice. But, you know, anyway, I'm going to try and finish my coffee soon so I can put one of the masks on. Although I'm going to put the Chinese TF filter on it, I think, because I've already got one open. Which gas mask behind me is so cool? There's a few behind me. But Anyway, let me finish my coffee off. As soon as my coffee's done, we'll start wearing some of those Russian masks. Nope, my test result came back negative relapse panda, which was great news. I mean, as we now know, because there was a really good Dr. John Campbell video recently, if you saw it, where we now know actually that people are developing antibodies properly to corona like they should have been from lots of studies. It does seem that, you know, people do have an immunity to corona once they've caught it, thankfully. So yeah, if I had got corona and I tested positive but didn't really feel ill and then just had to, you know, isolate for a week or two, that wouldn't be too bad really, as long as it didn't have any long-term health effects. But, you know, it's still good it's negative because it means I've not got it. The antibody test will be more interesting, though, when they eventually roll those out, because I want to know if I had it back in March when I had, like, flu for 2 weeks, because I'm kind of suspicious I had it then. You know, that was when, if you remember at the time, I literally said I'm not going out and doing anything. I had 2 weeks holiday off work at the same time I got this flu. And I basically said that, you know, this is a really enjoyable 2 weeks holiday because I'm just sat in the house with like headaches and body aches and everything. And that was when I had to block a couple of people because they're like, oh, you don't practice what you preach while you're going out. I literally said, I'm not going out. Anyway, Daryl says he's got a Chinese clone of a 3M6200 and I can get a perfect negative pressure seal. Positive pressure, however, leaks out through the inhale valves. Is that a problem? It shouldn't do at all. I think it's just because the valves for positive pressure are probably different tolerances for the negative pressure ones because it's designed to run negative pressure, I'd assume. Thank you very much, Chiffron. Yeah, Mike's right. The people disliking Tin the Turtle says, say my name, I just did. But, yeah, Mike's right. It was probably the people disliking it are the ones thinking I went to a 5G mask factory where Hillary Clinton and Bill Gates were eating babies, doing demonic rituals, shooting me through a nanobots, and taking my DNA. So when Jeffrey Epstein, who didn't really kill himself, commits more crimes against underage kids, they'll probably put my DNA on it and other people's DNA from the tests rather than his DNA. That's my crackpot conspiracy theory for you. I had a nightmare involving that bloke that's just turned up in the chat last night. I imagine I'm just going to get rid of him in a minute, but I had some very strange nightmares last night. One of them was, it was like that bit from the third Indiana Jones film, you know, where they're having the book burning, and he's got that book and Hitler signs it. That bit was in it for some reason. And then it was like fleeing from the Nazis for a bit of it. It's a really weird dream. The creepiest bit of it was about, like, there was this tower, like an old-fashioned prison tower, and there was like some like old witch kind of woman, and there was like a few people that lived in the tower, and they imprisoned her in this room, like kind of, you know, chained up to the wall or whatever, and she like wasted away, but then her like vengeful ghost or something like started killing the people in the tower. I can't remember exactly how it went, you know, because obviously with nightmares, you kind of, and dreams, you forget a lot of it once you wake up. But I can remember some of that bit, and it was quite creepy. I weirdly hype. I don't know why. I think it might be some of the medication they put me on for like ulcerative colitis, because obviously I have to take like some of those every day, like the Pentasa, which I've not taken yet this morning. So I might take that in a moment. This stuff, Pentasa. I have to take 2 of these every day. Is one of the ulcerative colitis things you have to take every day. Mesalamine, whatever it's called. And I have a feeling this might do it, because I swear, since being on, like, you know, chronic illness medication, I do not have a single night where I go to bed and don't have some sort of very weird, vivid nightmare. I'm trying to think what the other bits of the nightmare was, because it was like a few chunks of it. I can remember there was a bit about everybody being really upset because Nigel Farage had died. Now, Nigel Farage hasn't really died, has he? I need to make sure he's not died, but because it's having a bit of Mandela effects on me now. But it was like Nigel Farage had died, and then there was like some really weird stuff going on where everybody was like really, really upset, and then other people were like, "Oh, I'm glad he's dead, fucking racist." That was the other really weird one I had. The clock. Oh, it's a Nixie tube clock. You have to ask Hype the exact name of it. Yep, it was literally a national day of mourning for Nigel Farage in this nightmare. But then there was also other people who were like, oh, I'm glad he's dead. I think there was even a bit where James O'Brien on LBC was saying, I'm glad Nigel Farage is dead. And then it was like people rioting or something. It's such it was such a fucking weird nightmare. But the scary thing is you think a lot of that might really happen, knowing what this country's like. I do like Nigel, though. You know, I'm sure a lot of you know that. Nigel's an all right bloke. Right, let me just quickly take these before I forget. Basically, mesalamine is like little tiny granules. So rather than giving you tablets, they're like, I think you get a couple of 1,000 granules. They're like tiny seed kind of things, and they go all over your colon, and it stops the body damaging it as much. Right, let's have a look at these masks properly then. I want to look at this one first. So here we go. Oh, it's got some writing on the side. Look, for anybody that speaks Russian. That doesn't want to focus on the webcam, of course it doesn't. So there's that side. That's the voice diaphragm side. Right, let's try this bad boy on. Oh, they've improved the straps. Fucking hell, they've improved the straps. Wow, this is much better than the older ones with the awful straps. Right. Nice old smell of strange kind of rubber. Right. If I can even get this one to move. No, that'll do for now. No, it's definitely the rubber smell, Hype. It's definitely the rubber smell. Because I'm used to this smell that comes on several masks, even when they're like brand new. But yeah, it's like different rubbers have slight different scents to them. Doesn't that surprise me, sadly, Richard? I definitely didn't agree with her political opinions, but you live in a pretty shit country, don't you, where people want to shoot politicians because they have a different political view than you. All right, cool, we'll do, Hype. Let's have a look. Right, so that's with the Chinese filter on it, obviously, at the moment. Let's see, a NATO filter. Have I got a explicit NATO filter sitting conveniently behind me without going to get one? I know where a load is stored if I have to go get one. I have a feeling this is actually a NATO filter, strangely. Even though it's Romanian, I have a theory it's not GOST but NATO, this one. So let's see. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, look at that. Goes in lovely and snug. Yeah, I could breathe all right in that. The main issue of that was it clamping down on my nose a little bit. So it was a bit like trying to breathe like that. But that should expand my nose the more I wear it. That's just generally a thing with masks that haven't been worn for ages. They get crushed a bit in packaging, so I'll leave these out to expand a bit now. So yeah, the NATO filter seems to fit on this fine. I'm pretty certain this is a NATO filter on this one because the Romanian masks are pretty much direct license copies rather than being, you know, like GOST kind of weird variants. So let's try this bad boy now. Oh, it's at least got the same strap system, so I'm not going to hate the straps on this GP7 at least. It's got the adapter already in there. All right, good. Right, that seems to actually have gone in all right. Although that's a bit heavy for the mask. I don't know if you can see that. It's got the same problem the PMG has. So I will actually put the... not that I can think off the top of my head, Jesse. You could certainly do it. But again, the pressure might be a bit strong coming through one of those. Yeah, my test was negative, which was nice. Yeah, so there we go. I'll put this one in there because it doesn't weigh it down as much. So let's have a look at this one then. If you want to see what the inside of this looks like before I get like dandruff and dead skin on the inside, which always happens when you put the mask on. There we go. Wow, fuck me. This is a GP7 style mask or PMK style mask that's actually comfortable. What did they do? This isn't bad. What? It fogs up a bit, obviously, because still no nose cup in it, so it still has that flaw with it. But yeah, compared to those type, wow, this is much better. So thank you very much, Hype. I really appreciate it. Yeah. So again, still no oral nasal cup in these, which is the big design flaw of them. So as you can see, it steams up really fast. But right, the very standard differences between a PMK1 and the standard GP7 is the GP7 has round eyepieces. If you look up at that one up there, notice they're round, not triangular. And the standard GP7 also didn't have a drinking tube. The GP7V did have a drinking tube. So a GP7V and a PMK1, as far as I'm aware, it's literally the shape of the lenses that's different. I actually prefer the round lenses on the GP7s, in all honesty. I think they look cooler. But yeah, the problem I find with like the standard GP7 and PMK is that weird rubber they're made of and the crap straps. The Russian mask I really want to get is that Shum 2012, which is basically... Oh, this is caught on something. This style of voice diaphragm, but essentially on a GP5M or a PMG2 style mask. So it's like a modern GP5 or GP5M, but with this voice diaphragm on it. You know, so it's quite cool in that regard. But yeah, that's my big flaw of the PMK and GP7, because the regular ones, I actually love the look of them, but I just find that, you know, like the actual straps, because if you don't know, the old like PMKs and that have the straps where you can't like quickly adjust them. You have to like slowly thread them through with the mask off, like adjust them, put the mask on. Is that tight enough? Is it too loose? No, take it off. You know, keep doing that until you've got it right for your head, and even then it can sometimes be between sizes. Oh, that would be awesome if you could, Hype, because everybody I've asked about that has always said no before. But yeah, if you can get me one of those, I would really appreciate it. Obviously, I don't mind paying for it either, but, you know, that would be amazing, because I just really like the look of the Shum 2012. And I did like it as well when Laser did that video where he, all the audio clip where he compared the voice diaphragms on them to the older Soviet masks, and they were a lot clearer. The closest I've been to Russia, sadly, was the Finnish border with Russia. I'd definitely like to go to Russia one day. Obviously, I wanted to go to Ukraine this year, and then Corona happened because I wanted to go to Pripyat, you know, and see all the Chernobyl stuff. But within a week or two, I should be going to Windscale, aka Sellafield, aka Seascale, with a load of Geiger counters and sample collecting tubes to see what the British government has been poisoning the people with in the area. So if I get disappeared, that's why. Although loads of journalists before have covered how shit Sellafield is, it's just kind of one of those things where they go, "No, it's fine. You're overacting. Why does it matter that a Geiger counter is counting 100 counts per second on the public beach? Why is that a problem?" Yeah, when Corona's over, let's hope it's soon rather than later. But yeah, I've never used the 3M6, any of the 3M full. Daryl, right? I've never used any of the 3M full face masks. A lot of people like them. Knowing 3M's sort of general build quality, I think they'd be good, but I've never used them personally. But right, the thing is with 3M, even before Corona, if you're getting the proper 3M stuff and not, like going on AliExpress and seeing, like Chinese rip-offs of 3M. I know actual 3M does make real stuff in China as well. But, like the copycat stuff of 3M. General 3M stuff used to be really expensive because it was priced more towards industry and private sales, if that made sense. But yeah, with Corona, the prices of all of them have really gone up. Yeah. Well, they actually did that, Richard, weirdly, back in the 1950s, before the Windscale fire. There had been lots of leaking contaminants from the really bad filters that they put on top of the stacks. And even then, the government was like, "Oh, you don't need to make the filters." But one of the designers was like, "You really need a filter if you've got air blowing through radionuclides." So anyway, the point was the filters weren't catching all of the shit that was escaping and, landing back down in the countryside. So that was stuff like strontium-90, cesium-137, uranium-235, plutonium, all that sort of stuff. So anyway, there was that. And then one of the scientists who was concerned about it took their Geiger counters out and started taking samples. And when they reported it, the government said, "You're misusing government property," and confiscated the Geiger counters. So yes, we're not all that different than what the Soviets did at Chernobyl initially. So it was literally, "Another 40 meter, you're wasting our time." It literally was that. I mean, it'd be more like, "I'd say, chap, that's not a very accurate meter you've got there, but you're misusing government property. So if you want to keep your job, then you shut your mouth." That's probably more like that, wasn't it? But yeah, Windscale is a fucking dumpster fire if you look into Sellafield and all that. Tin the Turtle, that's literally an impossible question to answer. Most people at the moment would say the Avon FM53, and I don't even have one of those. My favourite's the CT12. Right, what countries have I been to? This might be a long list to go off. I don't know if I've been outside of Europe saying that, but right. England, Isle of Man, Scotland, Wales. I don't know if I've ever been to Ireland. I can't remember. If I've been, it's been when I've been young. Oh, that was that decimeter beeping, by the way. I got it out to take some measurements for Kraken earlier. So then in Europe itself, Portugal, Spain, Gibraltar, but that's technically no, Madeira, sorry. Yeah, Madeira. I've been to Gibraltar as well. But so I'll just go through the main countries rather than little islands now, or else I'll forget some. But basically, Portugal and its islands, Spain and its islands, France, Germany, Austria, Poland, Norway and Finland. I've not actually been to Sweden. The Czech Republic, Hungary, Slovakia, Greece. Have I been to any others? I could well have done, but they're like the proper countries I've been to. But sadly, I've not been to, like Australia, China, or, America. America's the place I really want to go just because, America. You don't have to be rich to visit a lot of these countries. What you do is you just save a bit of money when you're working. And then when you go on a holiday, you just basically book on one that is the one. I've not heard much on it set on fire, other than the Russians denied it happened. There was iodine-131 in the leak, which you only get from reactors. And satellite images basically, I think, placed most of the evidence of the leak around the site of where they had the Leningrad St. Petersburg RBMK facility. But yeah, the thing is with holidays is there's that you can get around loads and loads of different price points. You just have to be like clever at what you're spending. Yeah, I probably do more what some of my friends did hype when they went to the US, which was to go to Vegas to blow money on probably gambling, hookers, and shooting guns at those machine gun ranges where you can rent guns for loads of money. You know, just because Nevada is, you know, basically a den of sin. And if you're spending all that money, why not? Yeah, like I say, military museums would certainly interest me. I'm quite interested in a lot of the US Civil War stuff, you know, like the stuff from, what's it? You know, like Gettysburg and all those sort of national parks. Let me open that link in a new tab so I don't close this stream by accident. Oops, something went wrong, it says. It's because it's trying to open it as studio YouTube for me for some reason. Let me just take the studio bit off the front and just put that as youtube.com watch. Yeah, that works now. That's cool. Right, I'll have a look at that. So I'm assuming he's shooting it with a BB gun, is he? Or like an airsoft gun. And I'm assuming, like you're saying, that the face pieces on those are very brittle compared to the things. I'd actually be really interested as well saying that about all the museums you can go to do with the the Manhattan Project, you know, due to all the atomic bomb development. No, a gas mask will not protect you from bullets. Yeah, the thing is, Gabriel, I'm one of those people that really doesn't like going to places to see big cities. I just find cities can make me a bit anxious sometimes. And I think that's just because I've been in enough shitty UK cities, you know, with like drug addicts everywhere and stuff like that. Because to be honest, I have been to some foreign cities, and even though I can't speak the language or not very well at all, I actually feel a lot safer there than you do in somewhere like London. But yeah, saying that, generally when I go on holidays, I like to go to like really rural, sort of very scenic places or museum kind of stuff. Is that the guy that has loads and loads and loads of tanks called a sheep, or is this somebody else's? In the UK, though, we have one of the best tank museums in the world. It's called Bovington Tank Museum, and it is fucking amazing. If you ever go to anywhere in the south of the UK and you're renting a car or whatever and can get to it, go to the fucking tank museum for a day. You will not regret it, because they've got, you know, like Tigers, Tiger 2s, pretty much every single British tank ever built, including some weird prototype ones, loads of American tanks, loads of Russian tanks, you know, lots of other sort of fighting vehicles, some other general sort of military displays in there. They've actually got a S8 gas mask, which is very rare there. The S8 is the one between the S6 and the S10 that was a prototype, never mass produced. So it looks like an S6, but with like kind of the S10's lenses on it. Oh yeah, that's the really cool one, isn't it? What's the one? It might be that one hype, but there's also another one, isn't there, in Russia that has all the like weird object tanks, like, you know, they're prototype tanks. They're called the object tanks, but yeah, the mil spec AK sound very fun to shoot. But that's pretty cool, Gabriel. In London, you can go on. Is it HMS Belfast? I did that when I was really young, and they've got like a big World War II ship there you can go on. I can't remember. Is it a destroyer Belfast? Let me look up and see what kind. Is it cruiser? I can't remember. HMS Belfast. I know it's a museum now, but what is the actual class of ship? It's a Town class light cruiser that was built for the Royal Navy. She is now permanently moored as a museum ship on the River Thames in London. It is operated by the Imperial War Museum. Yeah, it's cool. That's very cool, hype then. So it's just a really good military museum then where you can shoot guns. The British Army actually do a thing which annoyingly I never knew about when before all the Corona stuff was happening, and nobody ever mentioned it to me. But now and again they do charity events where you can be supervised to shoot British Army guns. Apparently a lot of people have the most fun shooting things like the Browning high powers and the SIGs. Just simply because in the UK normally you can't shoot pistols full stop because of our shitty weird rule on pistols being completely banned. But on a military firing range, you're actually allowed to shoot pistols. The RAF museums are very good. If people are into planes, if you go to London, there's RAF Hendon. RAF Hendon is an absolutely fantastic museum if you want to look at loads and loads and loads and loads of planes. There are several good RAF museums, but Hendon's the one where one of two surviving Stukas is there. I think there might be more than two Stukas, but that is like one of the only two in like good condition. I don't know, Mike, if they've got any old World War II ones. I imagine they might have some Enfields, but I think for the most part it's like stuff currently in the army and like the stuff they had a lot of during the Cold War. Yeah, that's all right, Sparrow. Sadly, there's some people who seriously think that, though. So yeah, there's lots of cool stuff like that, isn't there? With museums, but like I said, that's generally what I like doing when I go to yeah. But yeah, the Belfast's cool, but I've not been there since I was a kid. But yeah, RAF Hendon's the best museum near London. It's not really in London itself, like the commercial kind of touristy bits of London. But yeah, let's look at RAF Hendon and see what list of planes they've got there. Hendon Aerodrome. Okay, does it have a list of planes they've got there on Wikipedia? Royal Air Force Museum. London. So they technically just call it the Royal Air Force Museum London, apparently, rather than Hendon. So anyway, so Hangar 1's the one where it's kind of got the modern planes in it, that sometimes just lent there. Hangar 2, the grey and white factory, shows the earliest days of flight on the site of London Aerodrome. So it's where they've got lots of like World War I style biplanes there. Hangar 3 and 4, the historic hangars. These hangars focus on the aircraft of the Second World War and the Cold War. It includes the original Battle of Britain fighter aircraft, the Hawker Hurricane, Messerschmitt Bf-109, Submarine Spitfire. That would be the one the Stuka's in as well then. Helicopters and some Cold War jet aircraft. Hangar 5, the Bomber Hall. So the Bomber Hall is now in Hangar 5. Okay, because that's where the German Junkers Ju-87 Stuka is. Heinkel HE-111. Hangar 6, it says Age of Uncertainty, 1980, 21st century. Doesn't mention what's there, but yeah, they've got like there's a Gloucester Meteor there. They've got the German Swallow or the Swift, whatever it's called, the early German jet or rocket fighter, whichever one it was. But yeah. Peregrine falcons are the fastest animals on Earth, aren't they? I think there's technically like one weird crossbreed bird that's faster, but yeah, peregrine falcons are really fast. Yeah, Nazis had quite good helicopters, didn't they, back in the time? There's a good Mark Felton video on it, Tactical Pirate. It surprised me how advanced they were at the time when I actually watched his video on them, like how heavy stuff they could lift and everything. But yeah, the issue is obviously with the Germans is that they didn't build enough of them. They didn't have the infrastructure like all the German World War II stuff. I mean, often you can say thankfully because they were obviously the bad guys, but Germany in World War II were definitely one of those countries that didn't really have a very good grasp of logistics, especially with the Wunderwaffe, make the wonder weapons. They're super expensive and they don't work. The V3 cannon is like the stupidest thing ever designed. Duxford, is Duxford the one? Because I'm trying to think, because there's 3 RAF museums, isn't there? Because there's one near Birmingham. Let's have a look on this list. Yeah, Cosford's the other one I've been to. Duxford, weirdly, isn't on this list, even though I know Duxford is like a big one. Duxford's the one I've not been to, even though I think it's technically the closest to me. But yeah, Cosford's good. Cosford's the one where they've got loads and loads of jet fighters in there and jet bombers. And they've got loads and loads of missiles in there as well, haven't they? Yeah, lots of these RAF museums are worth going to if you're into. I'll put a picture in the chat of like the main hangar hall in there. Looks like there's an electric lightning hanging up. There's a tank helmet over there. That looks to me like an electric lightning hanging up. Is it? I can't remember. I know they definitely have an electric lightning in there. But they have MiGs in there and, all sorts of stuff. F-86 Sabres in there. Oh yeah, Hype. Have you got the new flight simulator yet? Because I saw that's on sale on Steam now, and I was going to ask you if you've got it. Is it worth getting? Because I saw there was a load of like negative reviews for it, but most of the negative reviews are people saying, or it took too long to install. They have a Meteor in Hendon, Gabriel. I'll be on another 15 minutes or so. Yeah, Operation Paperclip, that was called, Gabriel. But sadly, if you look at some of the evil shit America did after World War II, in regards to testing of like radionuclides on children and pregnant women and like black people, you can probably understand why where the Nazi scientists went. I don't want to sound rude, Savannah, but it seems very weird you keep asking me all about my personal finances. Let's say this, if you get a big enough YouTube channel, you can make a decent amount of money from it, but YouTube is not really a stable income because of, demonetization, ad rates, or stuff like that. All right, cool. But this is the one, isn't it, where you were saying about with all like the 3D mapped ground stuff, like Chernobyl and all of that stuff. That's the main reason I think I really want to see it, is just to basically... Does that have VR support? Just because I've got the Rift, and it'd be nice to actually make more use of the Rift. But with 60 subscribers, you can't even make money on YouTube now. I think you need to really get at least 1,000 subs before they even let you monetize your channel now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't monetize your channel though until you get 1,000 subs, because they keep changing the rules on that. But no, you can export the S10. There is absolutely no rules against that. Although sadly, a lot of sellers basically say, "Oh, we won't ship to the US because we're not allowed to," or whatever. That's complete bollocks. They are allowed to ship it out because it's not even currently a military service anymore. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm still very interested in that hype, just because, I might wait till payday from work, and then I might get that and Chernobylite, because I saw that Chernobylite's, had enough updates now that apparently it's stable enough to kind of play. So yeah, I might get that in Chernobylite after payday. Well, as in, you never get it, Magnificent Bar Steward. You're assuming, though, Warbird, aren't you, that TikTok's not going to get banned? You might get big on TikTok and then it'll be banned. Yeah, I assume that's to stop people uploading like 2-second videos, is it, Mike? Like the 4,000 watch hours or whatever. Ah, right, is it for like a job requirement you get tested weekly? But yeah, like I said, the first test I had was the other day because it was the first time I'd come into contact with somebody who might have had corona, where they were honest enough to say that rather than just pretending, like a lot of people do, that even if they've got symptoms, they still go out and about. But is Shadow of Chernobyl without mods in a playable state? Ooh, I would say probably not. What gas mask do I really want that I don't have? That's a very good question. Because I've got nearly all the masks now I ever wanted. I suppose there's stuff like now Avon FM53s, because apparently they're really, really good, but I wouldn't have much practical use for it over a lot of the other masks I've got. What I really want now is a bunker. Oh, so you're not doing Zelda then on Twitch tonight, Mike? You're just doing the interactive film again, are you? Because of your Zelda addiction. Pillbox you can't really live in, that's the problem. Bunkers you can. I mean, you could live in a pillbox. It'd be a bit drafty, wouldn't it? Unless you put, like, windows in it. If you get planning permission for it in your garden or whatever, Gabriel, and you own land, it's perfectly legal to build one. But again, it comes down to planning permission, I think. But the thing is with bunkers is there's a lot for sale that were made during the Cold War that most people don't want because they don't like the idea of living in a small bunker. But, for somebody like me, I'm like, cool, it's got history behind it and it's way cheaper than buying a flat. You could buy 5 or 6 bunkers for the price of buying a shit flat in the UK. So guess which one I'd rather buy and restore. I think, Keeper, the reason it might have been for sale for decades is if they want 50k for it, because a lot of ROC bunkers go for about 20 to 25k and sell at that. The thing is, if it's in pristine condition and it has a fair bit of land with it, and it's in a prime location, 50k might be a reasonable asking price. But it's just the fact most of them sell for like half of that is probably why it's been for sale for ages. Oh yeah, in Albania there's lots and lots of pillboxes, isn't there? Because what's his name built loads of them during the Cold War. They're all fine, Gabriel. Just sadly, I can't show them on streams, can I? I can do them in regular videos, but not streams. But I've got, 2 armed weapons, if you like to look at it like that way. My favourite thing at the moment, though, I got recently is this Cutlass. It's just really nice for handling and all that, for the price of it. For the people who are wondering, this is the Windlass Steelcraft American, is it M1860 Sabre it's called? It's like the US Civil War, sorry, Cutlass. This is like the kind of US naval Cutlass from the Civil War period. I've got the big Sabre as well, but obviously Cutlasses are way better for handling because of the, balance and weight of them. Cheers, your mother. Yeah, if it's, when you say 10m by 10m, do you mean miles or meters? If it's 10 miles by 10 miles, I would pay 50k for that. If it's 10 meters by 10 meters, then no, it's not worth 50k. Oh, meters, yeah. I think that's why the guy's not been able to sell it for 50k. I definitely do videos of the bunker. I don't know if I do one of Liam in his natural habitat, but I definitely want to do videos of a bunker, like restoration process and then setting up a minimalist living space inside. Because what I watched things of the bunker is I was watching videos like people in Singapore, Hong Kong, Taipei, places like that, where they'd got really compact minimalist living sort of spaces, where they got these tiny apartment rooms and they've got really, really functional kind of living room, bedrooms, all that built into one room. But yeah, so that's why I was kind of taking inspiration from those videos. I've seen air raid sirens. I don't own one. You can buy air raid sirens on eBay, but you'd probably be very unpopular with everybody that lived nearby you if you bought an air raid siren and then started cranking it. Yeah, his is a self-built one as well, Tactical Pirate, isn't it? Which is quite cool. So it's missing its hatch and it's flooded, so you need to pump the water out and then restore everything. And the seller wants 50k for it. Yeah, I think the seller's delusional. I think that's basically why it's not sold. Because, yeah, that's like the thing. You can get ROC bunkers in pretty easy to restore condition, if you're just wanting to spend time cleaning everything, throwing away a bit of furniture, replacing that furniture. For like the 20k mark. 20 to 25k sort of price range, it seems. I think you could probably replace a hatch, couldn't you? But it's still the fact you've not got a hatch of it. It's flooded. I want double the normal price for these. Yeah, you see the handle on the Cutlass. It's so it's a wire wrapped handle, so it's leather and that's wire on there. And then it's got the sort of brass style hand guard, like the shell shaped guard. So sadly, you couldn't really use this left-handed if you were left-handed. And then you've obviously got the tang is peened under there. You can get S10s from eBay, but sadly they're very expensive at the moment. This one was just over 100 quid. Let me check for you, Cherno Inferno, because windlass swords are really well priced for what they are. If you're a sword snob, people don't like windlass, but I've never had an issue with them. Yeah, that's the thing that really impressed me with that one, Mike, for the price. Very good sword blade and balance. Very well constructed, of like the handle and handguard, and it's got a really nice leather and metal sheath. I will definitely do cutting videos of that Cutlass at some point, because it's really sharp and it does cut like a dream, and I've used it on little things. I've just never done a proper video of it. Next time I visit Mike, I will definitely take that Cutlass over, because it is bloody good fun. Right, what was I going to look up? Oh yeah, that Cutlass for you. Southern Swords. And then we want to have a look at the Cutlass, don't we? Cutlass. Okay, it is £136 if I'm looking at the same one that I got. Let me just double check that. Yeah, it's, I'll just link it. If you want to get it sharpened, it's like an extra 30 quid on top of it. But yeah, it's this one. Because by default, they come blunt, so you can use them for reenacting. And then you can pay them to do a really good sharpening job on it. So it's 80 centimeters long. The blade length is 65.5 centimeters. Grip length 11 centimeters. Weight is 0.86 kilograms. Blade thickness at the base 4.3 millimeter. Blade width at the base 3.1 centimeter. Point of balance is 11 centimeters long. And there's even a review from Captain Pugwash on there. For a pirate reenactor, when I rogered a cabin boy, or I don't think Captain Pugwash taught like that, did he? Yeah, off-grid living is really cool, isn't it, Chino? I definitely wouldn't want to do full off-grid living, but I do think people who do, are really self-sufficient is really cool, actually. I've not seen his channel, but I've seen the guy who built his own, like, barn-style house with all the solar panels on it and does all, like, the forging and steelwork type stuff. Sadly, in this testing, it wasn't the antibody test. It's just a swab test. I would like to have an antibody test done because I think I may have had it in March when I'd like flu for 2 weeks. But yeah, until they make the antibody test really just easy and convenient to do, there's no point in me having one. I think at the moment antibody tests are kind of more prioritized for people who have definitely had it, or people that work in certain jobs where it'd be just really handy to know if they've had it, so they don't need constant testing. Well, here's the thing, though, Jesse. I can't say if you're saying that as pro that or not that. Is when you have house prices that end up being completely out of regular people's reach in terms of income, it doesn't surprise me that people just want to convert a cargo container to live in, and stuff like that. Because I do agree with you. It does sound dystopian on the face of it. But if you're living in a situation like that, would you rather live in a van? Because a lot of people end up doing that. Would you rather live in a cargo container? Would you rather live in an old bunker that you have to restore? Or would you want to pay 5 or 6 times that, with a mortgage that takes you 30, 40 years to pay off for a flat where there's people above you, to your sides, below you, arguing and fighting all the time, That's just the way I look at it. I can definitely see the appeal of just putting a container somewhere and living in it, in all honesty. Especially if it's hooked up to electricity and internet. Yep, shipping containers buried underground are an easy way to make a bunker. Mark 6 helmets are definitely not worth $250 if you saw one listed for that. Mark 6 helmets over here are like £30. Sometimes they're a bit more, sometimes they're a bit less, depending on condition. All right, Henry. Yeah, that's the thing, Chino and Fun. That's why you're saying about without loads of items. I think we become very materialistic, don't we? Because I've often thought that, then moved into somewhere else, I wouldn't want all that much in there, because times before when I've really, really cleaned this room out, when I had a lot less items, and it was very minimalistic, I really preferred the living space because the room seemed so much bigger and brighter. But it is what it is, isn't it? What I don't get, though, is the people when you sometimes go around their houses and they seem to have, like, nothing at all. And I can't work out if that's because they stuff all their other items into another room so people can't see them when they go around their houses, or if they really do live in a house with, like, no decorations, no, like, toys for their kids, no hobby items. Soap and water, Gabriel, for basic cleaning, and then silicone lubricant, and it has to be pure silicone lubricant, not with additives, for kind of polishing the masks up. Yeah, see, that makes a lot of sense to me, Hype. It's a similar sort of thing to here, even though we've not got that same sort of population density. But I think it just really does come down to if lots of stuff becomes unaffordable, people are quite willing to, you know, live in different things, aren't they? Here's the thing, lots of these sort of foreign helmets, I'd love to get them if I get them for a reasonable price. Yeah, that's the thing. There's just like, it's like here, Hype, lots of people end up getting those sort of camper vans, caravans, RV type things and living in them. And I really don't blame them, you know, because if you get a little kitchen in there and a toilet, you know, and everything else, and like a little living room, for a lot of people, that's probably perfectly good enough, you know. Yeah, see, that's great if you're in Canada and there's lots and lots of land to be built on that nobody wants, so it's probably cheap prices. The issue is in the UK, we've got a massive population density for a relatively small island, and there's lots of land that can't be built on due to, you know, the area's flooding or it being protected land. And there's also lots of dodgy stuff where, you know, not enough houses get built. So you have the problem sort of every year house prices go up and up, and for the regular person, their wages will never get them those house prices. So most people now just basically have to inherit property because they can't afford it. Yeah, canal boats are cool. Lots of people have canal boats near where I live because I live not too far from a canal. So, you know, you go down there, there's lots and lots of canal boats. I suppose the nice thing of that is you can always move your canal boat, can't you? If you decide you don't like living in an area for a while, you can always just pay the rent to pitch it up somewhere else. Yeah, it is good news, Class 2 instructor. So if I've got anything at the moment, it's just like a mild cold or whatever with some of the symptoms I've had. If I technically have symptoms, it's hard to know what's psychological. And then, what was the other thing? Yeah, the good news is it means I can go and see people and I know I'm not going to risk spreading it to them, because that's my big worry, isn't so much what are you like yourself, it's the risk of, you know, would you, you know, hurt or kill loved ones, you know. That's the main problem of it. Anyway, I'll be off in a minute. My dad's just come in, so I was giving him a wave. Yeah, I'll be off in a minute anyway, because I've been on over an hour. But massive thank you again, Hype, for those 2 masks. Let me know more about that night vision you're interested in getting me to ship and all that. Oh, cool. They've got them in stock, have they? Oh, it's got a redirect link. Oh, good. It has redirected me. Yeah, Shum 2012 is cool. Oh, they don't actually have the ear holes on those, do they? Which makes them cooler. But yeah, essentially GP5M, but with bigger triangular lenses and a big voice diaphragm. Do you know how they compare, actually, to, what was it, the MF1A? Is there much difference in? Because they're pretty similar designs, aren't they? I suppose the Shum 2012 at least has more metal parts. Thank you, Russian Rooster. Yeah, I've got asthma. It's pretty mild at least, but yeah, it's one of those worrying things where you think if you get COVID and there's complications, will it make things worse? But yeah, thank you everybody. I'll be off now. There won't be a stream tonight because obviously I've streamed today at this time. Tomorrow I might not do a stream. It depends on what times I'm around and stuff. Okay, so it's definitely a high quality thing, but the MF1A has a better field of view. All right, thanks for letting me know. It'd be interesting to do a video comparing them as well, because I like doing sort of similar style mask comparison videos to show what's better and what's not better on certain masks. But yeah, thank you everybody, and a massive thank you to everybody that donated. Yeah, have a good day, everybody. Oh, thank you as very much as well, Class 2 instructor.